slain. Shut down. The Rift Herald has spawned.
I will follow this.
You are unstoppable.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with Rolling Origami, and today we're gonna be taking a first look at League of Legends' new mobile game, Wild Rift. So for today I'll just be letting some of the gameplay play in the background where I think I'm playing as Yasuo. And please don't mind my gameplay because I know some of you have played League of Legends for a really long time and know what the different heroes do and what they should or shouldn't do, should or shouldn't buy. But I'm completely new to the game. I think in my total League of Legends career I probably played like 5 or 10 games at max and it was all Tristana. So please forgive me if I do weird things with the champions that they're not supposed to do or if I'm not using them the best I could. So I'm just gonna give my first impressions of Wild Rift. I think a lot of people have been waiting and some of you have already been allowed to play in the beta, especially I think for Android users or even iOS players who registered earlier. For myself, I kind of missed out on the registration, which I kind of regret, but I think it also gave me some time to focus a bit on the other things, and now I'm just taking a first look at the game. So for me, I'll be comparing the game and making references to Vainglory, a game that I loved very much, as well as Mobile Legends, another game that I kind of played a little bit, especially after the demise of Vainglory. So I think the first thing you'll notice is the joystick controls. I think more reminiscent of Mobile Legends, which I think makes sense. I think it's the more accessible way of playing a MOBA, especially when it comes to it being on mobile. I think generally if you've played Mobile Legends in the past, you'll be quite familiar with these controls and how to really use them. I think the controls are quite intuitive, and I would say the gameplay hasn't been hindered by any of the controls. Speaking with some of my friends who have played League of Legends previously, I think their feedback was that a few of the skills of the different champions have been altered slightly. I think some of them which used to be purely target-based skill has been changed to directional. I think there were quite a few general tweaks of the different skills of different champions to make them more suitable for the mobile play style. I think in mobile especially, it's really hard to target specific enemies, especially if you're using joystick controls. I think when you look back at Vainglory, when they did touch controls, you could better target your skills with a lot higher accuracy. But even then, you kind of had some trouble, you know, especially if the targets were really close, you might misclick or you might not be able to tap the target that you actually want. So these were good adjustments they made to better fit the joystick controls. So I think that brings me to the first negative thing about this game, is that I think targeting specific units, be it minions or champions, is a bit hard. I think they implemented quite a good system to do so by dragging the attack button to be able to target, and then in future your skills and your attacks and skills generally gravitate to the unit or enemy that you have targeted previously. But I think it still is a far cry from the kind of accuracy and especially speed of targeting units that you get from the normal League of Legends. On the end, as someone who has played quite a lot of Vainglory, a lot of mobile games and MOBA, I don't see, you know, a significantly better way that unit targeting has been executed. I think the best way is either touch controls, but I think touch controls is really difficult for a lot of first-time players to get used to. It's almost a complete new skill set you need to have. So I think the only way around it would probably just be to modify more of the skills to make it more maybe direction focused instead of precise targeting. I think people still get better at targeting, and I think that really differentiates the different players with higher skills. I think they can potentially execute it at that level where you are able to target very specifically who you want to attack, who you want to cast your skills on. I think for the more general player base, that is something you probably need to skirt around and play more of a directional kind of gameplay. So I think that covers the controls. I think the whole setup is quite like League of Legends. I think very similar items. They give you quite a good buying list to start with. I think it really helps out players that just started the game just like me. The map is pretty much the same. I think similar to Mobile Legends, they kind of mirror the map so that you don't play from the top right downwards, because I think for a lot of mobile games, they understand that, especially when you use joystick controls, there is a bias for playing from the bottom left towards the top right. So if you're the team on the top right and they don't actually mirror it so that you can play from the bottom left up, you are kind of at a disadvantage because your targets tend to be generally where your controls are, your joystick as well as your skill controls are. So that gives you a disadvantage when it comes to visually seeing the enemies and also attacking them. So I think that's a good move, doing the mirror, going from bottom left upwards for both sides, but you really have to pay attention in that case to whether you are the mirror side and which side maybe the dragon is, which side the baron is. That's another really well executed point on the side of Riot. I think that really shows the understanding that Riot has on the mobile MOBA market and the gameplay as a whole. To be able to make these tweaks and changes really reflects understanding they're not really just copying and pasting whatever they have in their PC League of Legends client into the mobile space. And it's really good you see them separating it, because obviously there's a lot of cross-platform issues. I think Vainglory should remain a game by itself, so I really have to give Riot props on that end. I think the graphics are great. I think definitely on a higher tier compared to Mobile Legends. I think the original Vainglory might be slightly better, but I think when it comes to a lot of games, graphics is just one aspect of it. I think a lot of times you see games with not necessarily the best graphics, grossing way more than games with superior graphics, and it's mainly down to the gameplay, how they manage the community, how they manage the game state. And so I think it's at a decent level where it's pleasing to the eyes and the graphics are not so intense such that maybe certain players with more dated devices may face issues running it smoothly. I think smooth gameplay definitely is more important than graphics. So yeah, I think this game is at a really good place. I think in terms of the meta, what heroes are good, it's always going to be in flux, it's always going to be balancing, especially in the earlier stages of the game. You're trying to get as many heroes from the game over. I think they don't have all the heroes that League of Legends has right now, but they're trying to get there. Which means that essentially every time they introduce a new champion, there's going to be, shifting metas, different items, different champions that are viable. So I think that's an area that I'm not so concerned with. I think in terms of the monetization and business, they're sticking to the skins. I think as a revenue source, I think that's the same for a lot of games where you're talking about more skill-based games where they reset. You're not talking about Clash of Clans where you keep building and spending, or gacha games where you spend to get better. I think these games can only rely on cosmetics, and even so, it's a really good way to monetize a game and a really healthy way to monetize a game. I think the game's maybe biggest issue right now, which I don't think is an issue you need to fix, but it's an issue they should consider, is that there is a certain element of ease of access, ease of entry when you're trying to make a new mobile game, because you want to make it easy to pick up and difficult to put down. And that's also to say that most players that you play with should be at a certain level that allows you to enjoy the game with them. So you don't want to be paired with players that may drag you down if they're on your team, and you don't want to be paired with too strong players who kind of just dominate you. And I think it's an inherent issue with League of Legends Rift is that a lot of people already have a lot of knowledge on the game from the League of Legends PC client. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but then I think there is a bit of a maybe deterrence or push factor to people like me who want to really get into a solid MOBA and want to experience it by myself as a whole, appreciate the game for what it is. But I think when, even on the first day, people already know or really well versed in how to play certain things, what to buy, I think that is a small push factor that I think League of Legends can't really inherently fix unless they are kind of shaping up the whole meta to be very different from what we see on the PC client, which is unlikely. So I would say that is a very small push factor that they should think about and see if there is some way for them to mitigate that. But otherwise, I think it's a great game. I think their main competitor is still Mobile Legends, and I think Mobile Legends' success tends to be overlooked by a lot of the gaming community, and people think it's not really a great game, it's quite unpolished, it's quite rough. graphics aren't great, especially when you look at that compared to a more refined game when we see Vainglory. I think what people really don't understand is that Mobile Legends really hit hard and understood the mobile gaming community, understand how to make a great mobile game, and they focused on it. And that is, like I said, to make the game easy to pick up and difficult to put down. You know, people can get onto the game really easily. It's quite intuitive, they kind of learn the game quite quickly, and they're really able to succeed at it at a casual level. So they really enjoy going back to it and getting that dopamine hit every single time. And that's why it's good, because I think Mobile Legends at the end of the day is a casual game for casual players, and that is what the mobile gaming community is. And obviously that doesn't apply to every single game, but I'm speaking about, you know, the general majority. That is probably the case. So for me, personally, I see this game as a spiritual successor to Vainglory, if you would. I think it has a great game quality, good graphics, good gameplay, and I think you can see that the devs really understand the mobile gaming market. I think it has the potential to beat out Mobile Legends in the long run, but it's still early days. All I can say is I'm really enjoying it so far. If you're excited to try out MOBA on a mobile platform, this is definitely going to be one of your top picks that you should definitely try out. So make sure to go and download it, try it out, let me know what you think of it. I've been playing quite a bit of it, but I'm still trying to learn the ropes. Every time I play with my friend who has played League of Legends for a long time, he always teaches me something new. So I'm really very far off being competent at the game, but I'm still enjoying it. I hope the devs continue to do a great job, and we can see a more polished game that can be one of the mobile game staples for a long time. So go download it, make sure to let me know what do you think. Do you like it? Do you not? Let me know down in the comment section below. And with that, thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to stay hydrated during this time. Stay safe. Bye bye.